alone? The religious fanatic is indeed a man who could be driven to take it upon himself to personally destroy the evil he sees.
Kenneth Marshall.
The jealous husband? Even the cool customer like Captain Marshall may have the fires that burn deep inside.
And there's the money motive, too.
Yes, the background check of Scotland Yard should reveal if he has the reverses in business. Voila! There we have it then. Barring new evidence against any of those we have eliminated, there are 12 suspects. Some would seem to have no motive, others no opportunity. But at this stage, we must keep our minds open to all possibilities. You agree?
Absolutely.
Then when you are ready, we will return to Seadrift Island. It is late in the afternoon. In only hours, the truth will reveal itself and the killer will face the ultimate court. Hastings, we are agreed Mrs. Castle may, as you say, attempt to do the bump. It would be wise to make sure she does not destroy the evidence against her.
Time for a raid on the safe.
Précisément. Mademoiselle Gladys, will you help me by answering some questions concerning the death of Madame Marshall?
Oh, yes, sir. I'll help if I can.
You were on this floor cleaning all morning?
Yes, sir. Just like every day. Clean, clean, clean.
Did you see Captain Marshall at all this morning?
Yes, sir. He came up to his room not long after 10:30. I heard the sound of his typewriter a little later.
When was that?
Oh, I would say about 5 minutes to 11.
Did you see anyone else on this floor this morning?
No, sir. But I was cleaning the rooms, so while I was in one, anybody could have walked past.
You cleaned Mademoiselle Linda Marshall's room?
Yes, sir. As always.
Did you do the fireplace?
There wasn't anything to do, sir. There had been no fire lit.
Think in the fireplace?
No, sir. It was perfectly all right.
Do you recall who had a late bath this morning?
Late bath? Oh, I know what you mean. I remarked to Mrs. Castle only a little while ago. I said that it was funny someone was having a bath. It was nearly 12 o'clock.
And who was it who had the bath?
That I couldn't say, sir. I heard the water going down the waste pipe. That's all.
And that's a clue, is it?
Of the utmost importance. Did you perhaps notice a bottle missing from any of the rooms?
A bottle, sir? What kind of bottle?
No, Hastings. The glass bottle found at the bottom of the rocky bath.
No, sir. I don't think I've ever seen that bottle before.
Thank you, mademoiselle. You may resume your duties.
Yes, sir? No more jars to open?
No. That is happily all in the past.
This looks important. I will keep it in my notebook.
Quite securely locked, I am afraid.
This room belongs to Mr. Blatt. I say, Poirot, not the usual kit for a gentleman's sailor. A revolver, apparently owned by Horace Blatt. The revolver is loaded.
What's this? What are you doing in here?
I have been charged with investigating the murder of Elena Marshall.
I don't believe she was shot. Was she?
No?
Then kindly return my property to me.
Unfortunately, we have no choice, Hastings. Monsieur Redfern, may I impose upon you again?
Of course, Monsieur Poirot. My nerves are a bit steadier now.
Monsieur Redfern, how long had you known Elena Marshall?
3 months?
I understand you met casually at a cocktail party?
Yes, that's how it came about.
Captain Marshall tells me that you and his wife did not know each other well.
That's not exactly true. I saw a fair amount of her one way or another.
Was your wife aware of your friendship with Madame Marshall?
I believe I mentioned to my wife I'd met her.
But she did not know how often you were seeing her?
Perhaps not.
Did you arrange to meet Madame Marshall here?
I suppose it's no good my fencing with you now. I was crazy about the woman. Mad. Infatuated. Anything you like. She wanted me to come down here. I would have agreed to any mortal thing she liked.
Did Madame Marshall return your regard?
She pretended to. But I think she was one of those women who lose interest in a man once they've got him body and soul. See here, I've told you the truth. But how much of this has got to be made public? If it all comes out, it's going to be pretty rough on my wife. I know. I may sound like the worst kind of hypocrite, but the real truth is, I cared deeply for my wife. The other, it was madness. Kind of idiotic fool thing men do. Dean, so long that she was the person who really kept it. I wish I could make you believe it.
But I do believe it, monsieur. I have no doubt that I do believe it. Was Madame Marshall afraid if her husband learned the truth?
She was a bit nervous, yes. I'm not sure I'd go as far as to say afraid.
Was there talk of marriage between you and Madame Marshall?
No, never. Elena was perfectly satisfied married to Marshall. He's a well-respected businessman. She never saw me as a possible husband. I was just one of a succession of poor mutts. Just something to pass the time with.
And yet knowing this did not alter your feelings for her?
No.
Had you an appointment with Madame Marshall this morning?
No. We usually met on the beach.
Were you surprised not to find her there this morning?
Yes, I was. Very surprised. I couldn't understand it at all.
Can you think of a reason why she went to Cutter's Cove this morning?
I haven't the faintest idea. It wasn't like Elena.
Do you know of anyone in London who might have a grudge against her?
Honestly, I can't think of anyone.
Do you know anyone with the initials J.N.?
J.N.? You mean Jimmy Nash?
Tell me about him.
Well, Jimmy was just one of the crowd. A photographer. Took a splendid picture of Christie and me, as a matter of fact. But now that I think of it, I did hear he and Elena were an item at one time. Haven't seen much of him lately. I heard he got himself into some sort of trouble over money. He just dropped out of sight. Monsieur Poirot, if there aren't any more questions, I think I'd like to be with my wife.
Of course, monsieur. I think you will find that she would like that as well.
Afternoon, sir. Care for a cocktail?
No, I thank you, Henry. May I inquire of your movements this morning?
Seeing to my duties as usual, sir. Cleaning up in here, checking stock, helping make the dining room ready for lunch. Mrs. Castle can vouch for me.
Merci.
Poirot, is it true? Is she dead?
It is true, Monsieur Lane.
You remember our conversation yesterday about the reality of evil?
Colonel Weston has put me in charge of the investigation. There are some questions I therefore must put to you.
I understand.
Will you tell me of your movements today?
Willingly. Well, thanks to you, I spent a delightful day hiking over to St. Patrick in the Coombe. Started off round 8. The church is about 7 miles from here. A very pleasant walk up and down the Devon hills and valleys. I ate those sandwiches in a spinney. I visited the church. We had some fragments, only fragments, alas, of early glass. Also, a very interesting painted screen.
Did you see anyone? The vicar or the verger?
No, there was no one about, and I was the only visitor. It's a very remote spot.
Is there anything you heard or saw that can help us?
All I can tell you is this, that I knew, as soon as I saw her, that Arlena Marshall was a focus of evil. She was a woman such as Jezebel and Aholiba. Now, she has been struck down in her wickedness.
No, not struck down. Strangled. Strangled, Monsieur Lane, by a pair of all too human hands. Monsieur Lane, why were you forced to leave your church in Brixham?
I told you, I became ill.
Racine Hastings, now! Did either Millie Parsons or Alice Corrigan belong to your church?
No, but I knew what they were. A man named Gideon Fell, an innocent schoolteacher hunted by police. He was a member of my flock.
Did you preach of Jezebel and Aholiba when Millie Parsons and Alice Corrigan were murdered?
The truth must be told. God's vengeance must be proclaimed.
Were you fired because of your beliefs?
I am not the first to be martyred for the truth.
I think that I have nothing more to say to you.
As you like.
Well done, Hastings. I think that if Monsieur Lane wishes to see the true nature of evil, he need only gaze into his own mirror.
Hello? Need the sea tractor, do you?
Yes, please?
On me way.
I hope you don't mind, Mr. Poirot, but Gladys told me about your phobia. I don't want chance opening jars for you and such. I sympathize with you. I have an uncle who had a phobia about opening doors. If there was no one around to open a door for him, he'd try crawling through a window instead. Then he got stuck in a window once and wouldn't go near them either. He lives in a tent outside Swansea now. Bitter cold some nights, but he seemed happy at last.
Are there any telegrams for me?
I'll just check.
Ah, Major Barry.
It's true then? Mrs. Marshall has been murdered?
It is true.
Shocking. Most shocking. Of course, I can tell you after being in an Indian hill station, what you don't know about human nature isn't worth knowing. Matter of fact, this reminds me of a case in Simla. Fellow named Robinson. Was it Ramsler? Anyway, he was in the East Wilts. Or was it the North Surreys?
Major Barry.
Doesn't matter, really. Quiet chap, you know. Went for his wife one evening in their bungalow, got her by the throat. She'd been carrying on with some fellow or other. By Jove, he nearly did for her too. Surprise us all. Quiet chap like that.
You see an analogy to this case?
Well, that is to say, never said anything about Marshall. Quiet, but a thoroughly nice chap. Wouldn't say a word against him in the world.
You were not at the hotel today?
No, wanted to do some telephoning. The post office here isn't very private, so I drove over to Kingsbridge. Had a bit of bother with the motor earlier on, but young Jenks patched it up, so off I went. Almost ran down that fool cat and dog on my way up the high street.
You were quite taken with Mrs. Marshall, were you not?
You know I was, man. Have the decency to let that drop, will you?
It is a case of murder, Major Barry. Poirot does not let anything drop. What time did you leave?
Just before 10.
What time did you return?
Only just now.
The drive? It is that long?
Well, no. Bit embarrassing for an old campaigner like me, but I got lost. These confounded lanes, twisting and turning all over the place. Damn confusing part of the world.
Did you speak to anyone in Kingsbridge?
Want me to prove an alibi, eh? Saw about 50,000 people in Kingsbridge, but that's not to say they'll remember seeing me. Was there anything else?
Can you think of anything else?
Nothing. I'm out of it. Right out of it. My motor car's run like lunatics. Thank you.
My pleasure, Major. Thanks to you, Mr. Poirot. I found the winch handle for you. What do you want with a winch if you haven't a sailboat?
One must start somewhere, my friend.
How may I be of service, sir?
I would like to send a telegram.
Of course, sir. Please just fill out one.
No more telegram. Do you have the background checks on the suspects?
Yes, here they are.
Any news on Jimmy Nash, the photographer?
I haven't received the report yet, but your inquiry got Scotland Yard very excited about something.
I will be curious to hear what they find. That will do for now, monsieur.
Like a ride to the island?
Yes, please.
Let's be off then. Is it true Mrs. Castle has seen U-boats off the island? I suppose it must be. She spends hours up in the tower at the hotel. The invasion must be near then, just as they say in all the papers. Colonel Weston has the Home Guard on the alert.
Can you row me to Cutter's Cove?
Mr. Poirot, after your efforts to find Millie's killer, I'll row you any time you like. You need only ask me. Climb in.
A hidden passage. Now we're here. For heaven's sake, it looks like an army has marched through here. Poirot, the invasion.
I think not, Hastings. These are not the footprints of many men, but of one man only, passing here many times. This is a useful point to measure the time it takes to reach Cutter's Cove, the spot that will be the scene of the murder. From the smuggler's end up via the tunnel, it is 28 minutes. This is a useful point to measure the time it takes to reach Cutter's Cove, the spot that will be the scene of the murder. From the monastery ruins to Cutter's Cove via the tunnel, it is 11 minutes.
Hello, this seaweed wasn't here before. A sandwich tin.
Good Lord! You must taste it, of course, Hastings. I do not expect to find this is a box of powdered sugar.
Too bright. Footprints everywhere.
One.
Hello, another compass. This wasn't here before. And it's smashed. No good at all anymore.
A stroke of luck, that. It will make things easier in the end. do yourself a credit, mon ami. Bravo. A discovery of significant importance.
Hello.